Welcome, everyone. The City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City will meet in a regular meeting in City Hall Council Chambers located at 1716 West Main Street, Gun Barrel City, Texas, on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. I now call the meeting to order. If everyone will please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this night, these citizens, these board members, and all of our city employees and first responders. Give us wisdom, patience, and clarity as we go about our city's business. We always pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I'd like to establish a quorum. If I may have a roll call from my left, please.
Burns here.
Evans here.
Jacobs here.
Edwards here.
We have a quorum. Before I get started, I'd like to thank all our distinguished guests in the audience tonight. Gilbert Shelby, who sits on our Parks and Planning and Zoning. It's okay to clap. These people are great people, great individuals. Keith Bond, the Vice President of our EDC. Miss Alexander, I know I saw you. There she is, right there. She sits on our EDC. Roy Key, the president of our EDC. And one of our most beloved citizens, our police chief, Keith Stevens. Also here in attendance this evening is our interim fire chief, Colby McBride, who's doing an outstanding job, by the way, Colby. Also, Grace Wallace, our associate judge. And Blake Armstrong, our attorney, is here this evening with us also. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Citizens Communications. Pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551007, members of the public may speak on any topic. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and no action may be taken by the council. Any response from a member of the City Council to non-agenda comments is limited to a statement of specific factual information, a recitation of existing policy, or direction to staff for follow-up. We have two speakers this evening. Our first one will be Amaris Faith.
Amaris Faith, Pine Bloom. So I heard a joke the other day. How many politicians does it take to change a light bulb? Well, none. They just blame the citizens for the darkness and pass another tax. So let's talk about the Hotel Motel Fund. Maybe it's because we don't have enough beds to put heads in, or maybe we just need to change the light bulb. But the numbers look off to me. For example, July Fest 2025. In the budget, the city expected to sow $100,000 and to reap $100,000, so basically it was a break-even proposition. But according to the checkbook, it cost $178,316 and returned only $44,000. But people stopped at DQ and Taco Bell and spent money. Well, $120,000 is a lot of money to make up in sales tax in one night. And then we had the $600 for Valentine's Day. So what the heck did we do for $600 that put heads in beds? Did we sponsor a kissing booth? Raffle a box of chocolates? Deliver a singing telegram for a $1,000 donation? Maybe we did cash in on it, but it seems more geared for petty cash than hotel, motel funds. And I think this is something that we need to look at, because every item in our budget needs to make sense to the citizens and to benefit the citizens of this community. Thank you.
Next up, we'll have Carrie Kirksmith.
Good evening, Kerry Kirksmith, 332 Overlook, Gun Barrel. I want to thank you guys. You know, I've just watched the evolution of our government, our city government, and I'm so proud of y'all. You've done a really amazing job, and just in the last 3 years especially. So it doesn't go without notice. I understand there's some things that, people are not quite so happy about, whatever. Nobody's always going to be perfectly happy, but you guys are awesome. You've done a great job. And our city staff, just the most amazing people, and I'm just so happy to be here in Gun Barrel. Thank you, guys. And I want to ask you to don't forget that we're hoping to get some traffic control for the first responders on the main street and onto 198. So I'm going to mention that every time. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on, consent agenda 6A. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Consider approving the following reports: September 3, 2025 special meeting minutes, September 23, 2025 regular meeting minutes, and the EDC August financials. With that being said, do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as is.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Evans, second.
I have a motion and a second. If no further discussion, I'll take a vote from my left, please.
Burns, yes.
Evans, yes.
Jacobs, yes.
Edwards, yes.
Consent agenda passes. Moving on to new business, 7A. At this time, Judge Grace Wallace, Gun Barrel City Associate Judge, will administer an oath of office to the newly appointed City Council member for Place 4. Grace, Mr. Henson, if you'll come forward, please.
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or thing or promise any public office or employment for the giving or withholding of the oath at the election in which I was elected, or as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation, whichever the case may be. So help me God. I, Brian Henson, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of City Council, Place 4, of the state of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she did. I was like, thank you.
At this time now, we will move to item 7B, which is a presentation of our quarterly reports. A presentation of quarterly department reports, including the city treasurer, city secretary, and city planner. I will now ask, can I do this? Thank you. I'll ask now for the greatest living city treasurer in the world, Mickey Rainey, please.
Good evening. My report tonight will be through August. September is over, but we do hold September open because it's the year end and we want to make sure we get all those in. So I'm just going to report through August at this time. but it's good. The city has completed 92% or 11 out of 12 months for fiscal year 2025 as of August 30th, 2025. Our budgeted revenue is $5.6 million. Currently, we're at 5.5. Our budgeted expense is at 5.6 million. Currently, we're at 5.4. The revenue highlights. We have seen an increase in sales tax. Currently is at 93.9%, which is approximately $79,675 over budget. The total revenue right now is sitting at 97.62%. Through August, sales tax and taxes was 71% of the budget. Miscellaneous is 9.6. Business and franchise fees, 7.2. Fines and penalties, 6.9. License and permits, 4. And fees would be 0.3%. And this is the annual monthly comparison for sales tax. Our August numbers came in slightly lower than last year, but we're still $79,000 ahead. Our expense highlights for the year so far, our total expense is at 95.15%. Through August, the police department was at 37% of the budget, fire department 15, street 12, administration 11, building code enforcement 5, municipal court 3, parks 3, city treasurer 2, municipal buildings 2, animal control 2, and other would be 4%. This is just an update of special funds with all of the balances. I'll just leave that there for a minute. Our personnel and open positions, we have some new hires for the quarter. Dispatcher Destiny Hood, Police Officer A.J. Martinez, and Police Officer Johnny Martinez. Open positions, we still have a fire chief position open, 4 police officer positions, and 2 dispatcher. Our anniversaries for this quarter, Thomas Allen, 4 years, Cecil McBride, 19, Ine Marquez, 3, Belinda Beckham, 7, Mickey Rainey, 24, Michael Zakaris, 4, James Bunzelmeyer, 2, Madeline Ward, 2, Jordan West, 6, Tommy Calloway, 1, and Lauren Henson, 1. Do you have any questions?
And for those of you that don't know, Cecil McBride also happens to go by as an alias Colby
Colby.
McBride.
Any questions?
Questions for staff?
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Next up will be the world's greatest living city secretary, Janet Dillard.
Oh, hold on. All right, here's a quick view of meetings held July through September. There was a total of 18 meetings. Current board vacancies, we have 1 on the Parks, 2 on Board of Adjustment, and 3 on Planning and Zoning. We are at the critical level, I would say, for Planning and Zoning, so if you are interested in serving or know anyone who is, send them my way. I'm happy to talk with them. Some activities in my office include 32 fulfilled open records requests over the last 3 months. We have a couple bids going on. One is the Harbor Point Road Reconstruction Phase 2, and then also the FEMA, Disaster Recovery Management Services. We have 2, an RFP and an RFQ. And so this would provide grant administration and support, and then an engineering firm for that. All of these will appear on the November council agenda for consideration, and you'll have a recommendation from staff for those. We did have one lien fulfilled for an amount of $5,400 and some change, and then we also filed one lien in the Holiday Club Estates, and I've provided some pictures here. This was a property cleanup. The total lien amount filed was $1,500. And then we have two CDs expiring, one November 17th and then one December 15th. So as you know, they have a 10-day window to make a decision. They never seem to fall when a council meeting is happening, so this just gives the city manager authority to make the best decision. One of these is on your agenda for tonight, and Angie will talk about that a little bit more. As you can see, we have early voting happening through Friday, 8 to 5, and then Election Day is Tuesday, 7 to 7, so come out and vote if you haven't already. Couple trainings over the past couple months. Some members of the PD participated in a Law Enforcement Records and Public Information Act webinar, and then also this month I did some records management training as well. So something new that I'm really excited about, if you remember back in May, the City Council with a budget amendment approved Muni Docs, which is a cloud-based document archival tool that allows citizens to easily navigate public records. So if you want to request a resolution from 2020, currently you would have to come to the city, put in an open records request, and we would fulfill it. So now what we're doing, and I have a couple snippets of what you'll see on the website. You can see on the left side, I've just started kind of downloading some critical documents, minutes, ordinances, resolutions, and so I just happened to type one in the search feature. This is one of the best things about this system is that it has a unified search tool that allows you to search for keywords in documents as well as minutes. So I just typed in CDBG, which is our Community Development Block Grant, and you could see on the left, it triggered 17 sets of minutes that it appears in, and then 3 resolutions. So it's a really great tool and really good for citizens, I think. And then I just clicked on the first one there until you're able to see the original document if you want. And that's it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Great job, Janet. Thank you. Next up will be the greatest living city planner, and Brittany Anderson. I got the last name right now.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here to provide an overview of planning activities and development projects from this past quarter. Let's take a look of where things stand. We currently have 4 active development projects underway and 1 new project that initiated its pre-development process this morning. Hillsdale Phase 2, the site plan is still under compliance review, and drainage easement discussions are ongoing with the engineer. At 606 East Main Street, the preliminary plat is awaiting resubmittal from the applicant. The Youth Activity Center at 142 Rodney Drive, the site plan is also pending resubmission. Enriched Life Medical Center, we received their resubmitted site plan and it's currently under review. A dentist office with a drive-through restaurant. We held the pre-development meeting this morning and we'll be waiting for the official site plan submittal moving forward. For Hillsdale Phase 2, for the site plan, compliance is still pending. The city has engaged an additional engineering reviewer as requested by the developers, and we have received those comments. We're currently waiting on the developers to resubmit. Once they are compliant, we will schedule the site plan for planning and zoning consideration. At 606 East Main Street, the preliminary plat is waiting to be resubmitted and is not yet scheduled for planning and zoning. The pacing item is coordination with the city of Maybank on the connecting street at the rear of the proposed development. We're waiting on their information, road construction details, so the applicant can confirm access, right-of-way needs, and any related drainage utility adjustments. The next step for this is once we receive Maybank Street information, the applicant will update the plat, engineering sheets as needed. After Mundo and Associates verifies the compliance with our subdivision standards, we'll place the preliminary plat on P&Z agenda and then move forward to City Council for your consideration. For the Youth Activity Center at 142 Rodney Drive, the applicant is working through comments related to stormwater drainage details, access drive, parking and circulation, landscaping screening, and easement maintenance documentation to ensure full compliance with Gun Barrel City Ordinance. The next steps, once the applicant addresses the remaining comments and Mundo and Associates confirms the compliance, we'll place the site plan on Planning and Zoning agenda for approval. After that, staff will coordinate permitting and inspections as the project moves into construction. For the Infinity Cove Luxury Motel, the project has now submitted building plans for permitting. It's awaiting plan review. The next steps is for them to respond to any permit review comments, finalize the permit issuance and the fees, and then they will proceed to construction and inspections. HTO, that's located at 317 West Main Street. Construction is underway. Inspections are in progress. Their next step is to finish inspections and closeouts, then proceed to receive a certificate of occupancy once they've received their final inspections. Here are a few construction photos that I did get. Also, they did bring some sample tea. So anyone's more than welcome to grab one of those jugs. Also, Pier 334 has also began construction as well, and here's some photos that I've provided for you to review as well. For Enrich Life Medical Center, the pre-development meeting was held on August the 5th. The site plan was submitted September the 22nd, and the first review by Mundo and Associates was on October the 7th. They did find that it was not yet in compliance. The applicant has revised the plans to address the comments and ordinance requirements, and they have resubmitted for review. Once we receive the compliance verification by Mundo and Associates, we will get it scheduled for planning and zoning. That concludes my quarterly update for the planning department. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great job, Brittany. Questions for staff? Mr. Anderson, great job.
Thank you.
Real quickly, not to be long-winded, but I know I say all this, but it's not really tongue-in-cheek. They really are some of the greatest people I've ever been around. I've been around a lot of folks. I'm in the folks business. We went over today and judged pumpkins at the elementary school around us, and these gals on a day like today, what's very, very busy when we have council, took time out of their day to go over and do that, and that's the type of people that we have in these four walls, and I don't want anyone to ever forget the quality of individual that we have underneath this roof, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of that, and we should be thankful each and every day for all these individuals and the services that they provide. Enough of that. Item 7C, receive the fiscal year 2024-25 annual progress report on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Board per section 3405 of the Code of Ordinances. Our sponsor on this item will be none other than our city manager, Dr. Smith.
So Mayor, Council, for the last couple of years, you have gotten a progress report from the Parks Board Mr. Gilbert Shelby is here to do that, so he will go up to the podium and kind of show you what that board has been working on over the last year, what they're spending their money on. As you know, they have a line item in our budget. They have raised about $7,000-ish, give or take a little bit, in fundraising that they have put aside and are kind of saving to do some additional improvements to the tennis courts. But Gilbert will kind of walk you through the other things that they really have been working on. They're a very, very active board.
Hi, yes, I'm Gilbert. I'm happy to give you this report for the Parks Board. The 24-25, we ended like all the other fiscal years at the end of September. Let me see if oh man, it works. All right, this is to summarize the activities, the highlights of what we've done in this fiscal year, as well as tell you about what we're planning on doing next year. The 2025 members, and this list is actually as of September of 2025. We have had a couple of folks that have come in and out, which happens, but Monica has been our chair, Monica Damiano. I've been vice chair. Elga has been secretary, and I want to point out that Monica and Elga both have held those positions, those officer positions, since the Parks Board was reinstated a couple years ago, and both decided to retire from the Park Board this year. So I want to take a moment to thank them very much for their leadership on getting this Park Board going. Then we've got Foster Brady and Frank Vaughn. One of the things we got done this year is some park signage, 18 new beautiful T signs on our disc golf course. We did this to coincide with our disc golf club assigning on, I think it's 9 holes, alternate holes, so that we could make sure we got those in the signs. There's an example of one of them there. It was nice getting custom work. They were all custom built, and I think that's been a very nice upgrade. That is one of those things, a disc golf club is out there practically every day. It gets a lot of use in the park. We coordinated with the Lions Club and the Tri-County Library to get a free lending library. It's over next to the playground there at the pavilion. Check on it every once in a while. The books come in and out, so it's getting some use, and it's very pretty. On the tennis court, which, you know, we really probably ought to just start calling the pickleball courts, because that's where they are the most. But we have restriped those. The way it's been is we've got the tennis courts, and then we've had 2 pickleball courts that went over the tennis net. We had plenty of room to restripe it to put in 4, which is helpful for the number of folks that are out there. We put a lockbox out there with some mobile nets so they can put out the 4 or 2 or, you know, play kind of however they want. We also used some of our budget to put in some windscreens around the side that you can see in the lower picture there. We try to help out the city with some of their events, especially the ones that sit around the park, which most of them do. So the Christmas parade is one of them. We decorated the trailer that the city boards were in, and we handed out a ton of candy. In July Fest, for the 2nd year in a row, we helped run the Kids Zone in the tennis court area. This year we had these inflatables as shown, and I would contend if you didn't put on a Velcro suit and stick yourself to that wall, you didn't really go to July Fest. The modest budget that we have, that I'm very thankful for, we had some left over as we went along. There's a few items that we have purchased as well that I'll list here. Some shade screens to the dugout where you sit at the dog park, which I think has been a very nice thing for the early morning because the sun just comes straight into that bench. We paid for the first year's contract for a peri-weather detection system. This is a hazard system there at the park. It's one of the pieces of technology that helps you run a city with limited staff so that we can be aware of things that may require attention at the park. Added a bench. Can never have too many of those, especially if you're me. We worked with the Ordinance Review Committee on the park ordinances to help update, make recommendations for updates to those. Nothing's been updated yet. And we also worked with the Park Department to renew the sand and the nets on the sand volleyball court in the spring to get it ready for a season. Next year, we've got 3 subcommittees that we formed. We did that towards the end of the last fiscal year, and then we had a couple of new folks come in, so we've kind of revisited them and got new names assigned. One is grants fundraising. The grants that we're pursuing have a focus on the updates to the trails, the walking trails, fundraising. We're looking into some sponsorship opportunities that will go towards the tennis court resurfacing. For the pickleball and tennis ball, eventually we need to resurface everything that's out there, help with drainage. And it's to go out to the folks that are using the park to talk about, what improvements may be made, how we can help do that, and to talk to the community themselves, just about, hey, have you been to the park? If not, why not? What can we do just to try to focus what we do on the community that uses the park? And event support. Continue to support July Fest, Halloween, Christmas Parade. And we want to work on an annual event that the park board owns. So what we're looking at is having an Arbor Day event. So you can go ahead and put on your calendar November 7th, 2026, and you will be amazed. Our members now. Laura Young is coming as chair. I've remaining as vice chair. Linda Tracy is secretary, Foster Brady, and Frank Vaughn. And I'll point out that those are 5 names. A full slate is 6. This is the funnest board to be on. So if you're interested, come join us. And I think that's it.
Great job, Gilbert. Does anybody have any questions for Gilbert? None. Thank you again for your service. Gilbert is a rock star in this town, for those of you that don't know that. Next up, 7D, consider and take action to approve resolution number R-2025-009, authorizing the city manager to close existing bank certificate of deposit account ending in 0859, expiring November 17th, 2025, to open a new bank certificate of deposit. I will read into the record the resolution number R-2025-009, stating a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, authorizing the city manager to close existing bank certificates of deposit and open new bank certificates of deposit in accordance with the city's investment policy and applicable law, providing an effective date. Our sponsor on this will be Dr. Smith, our city manager.
Mayor and council, the city has 4 CDs, I believe, 2 at Prosperity and 2 at Southside Bank. These have varying expiration dates. At this point, some of those are being renewed for 4 months or 6 months, but they never really fall in line with a council meeting. So this particular one will expire November 17th. We will receive notice on the 7th and have 10 days. So we don't have another meeting. Our meeting isn't until the 18th. So we don't have another meeting to do that. What the staff and I do, the treasurer, the city secretary, and I all sit down and look at what the options are. At this point, we really are picking what is the highest return back to the city. We are getting ready. The city treasurer and I, Mickey, talked just in the last week or so, and Janet and I today, we're getting ready to go to TML the rest of the week, and I'm going to meet with some of our partners that potentially are there other options out there that don't have to be renewed that potentially have a higher return. There are some, as the EDC uses Techstar is one. It has very high return on interest, so there may be some other options, but this item really just gives me the ability to close it, and staff and I to pick the next CD percentage, whether it's 4 months or 6 months or 10 months, and we always pick the one with the highest return. This gives me permission to do that.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
A motion to consider and take action to approve resolution number R-2025-009, authorizing the city manager to close existing bank certificate of deposit account ending in 0859, expiring November 17th, 2025, to open a new bank certificate of deposit.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Burns, second.
I have a motion and a second. If no further discussion, we'll take a vote from my left, please.
Burns, yes. Evans, yes.
Jacobs, yes.
Henson, yes.
Edwards, yes.
Motion passes. Number 8, 8A, a budget presentation. This will be done by Dr. Smith, our city manager.
Mayor and council, I'm going to go through this. You'll hear me say next slide, Janet. I can't really click from here. I don't think it'll work. So Janet, I have it up. Janet will help me get through this. This is your budget presentation that is on the agenda to be passed tonight. We have beefed up this presentation a little bit to give you some additional insight into your budget as a whole. So we're going to start with the strategic priority guiding principles for Gun Barrel. These are in your strategic plan. You'll remember about a year ago, we invested some time in kind of going through that and talking about it and ensuring these are still priorities. And then I have also talked to some of you about starting to now set those goals, look at those priorities and narrow those down to a few years at a time. But it's promoting Gun Barrel City. As you know, we're a sales tax funded city. So it really is about getting our name out and getting visitors into our community and keeping our community stable in that way. Number 2 is a comprehensive and proactive quality of life program that strengthens the health, comfort, and happiness experienced by citizens, visitors, and businesses in Gun Barrel. It is employers that are able to hire highly trained and productive employees, and comprehensive long-range planning for Gun Barrel City that will enhance, preserve, and protect the community. It's commercial customers, its citizens, and its visitors. Next slide, please, Janet. So this is what the budget process looks like. You've seen this slide a few times. It is, we've had a lot of meetings this year as we kind of meander through this. Tonight is October the 28th. We will have your budget presentation. We will have a public hearing to discuss the proposed budget, hopefully adopt the budget, and then we will hold a public hearing and adopt our property rate as well. Our property rate is 0%, property tax rate is 0%. We still are required by law to pass that, even though it is 0. And I think one of the most important things I can tell you in this process, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, it is a proposed budget until it gets approved. So it gets changed as we go through this process. We have made amendments. If it gets approved tonight, the city treasurer will then start the very in-depth process of checking everything one last time, making sure there's no typos, making sure everything is correct, and then she will publish and provide you all with a copy of the budget, as well as all of our department heads, publish it on our website. There's a number of steps that come into play following this meeting. Next slide, please, Janet. So you did hear Mickey talk tonight a little bit about proposed to actual. So one of the things that we did in this is really show you most of our things are based on August 2025. As Mickey mentioned, we leave September, that final month open, just so that we can close out everything by September 30th. We still have a few outstanding invoices we're waiting to get in. Mickey wants to make sure all those loose ends are tied up so that when we close the year, it is ready to be audited as a solid fiscal year. So what you see here in front of you is, as of August 2025, we have expended 92% of the year, is really how that works. And we budget based on operational plans. And a really good example of that is Parks is busiest from April to October. They expend the majority of their money that is not salaries during those months. They may do some projects in the off season. They may have some special things they do. But they spend the majority of their money during the summer months. So things kind of come and ebb and flow. You can't just take a budget, divide it by 12, and say this is how much we're going to spend every month. So this is kind of a comparison between revenues, what we budgeted year to date as of the end of August, where we are, and then expenses by department. So mayor and council has a department, administration has a department. And administration is not just myself and Brooke. It is a lot of the operations of this building, postage, notices. There's a lot of things that come out of the administration budget, and that's in your detailed budget packet that you got. Next slide, please, Janet. And then really, to be fair to council, I want you to be able to see what is our financial condition. As you know, these are available every single month in our published financial reports on the city website, on the city treasurer's page. And so we really are in great financial condition. You can see there the 2 CDs for Prosperity Bank. You can see the 2 CDs at First State Bank. You can see our capital improvement fund. Knowing that we have some of that dedicated, we have not closed out the year, so there is some of that still dedicated to the community center and to police vehicles. Once we close the year out, that will clean up some of that. Festival operating, you've got all of your restricted funds. So we have general fund money and we have restricted funds. You all know restricted funds can only be spent on certain things. They still have to be approved by council though, so that's a change we made to the budget this year. And then committed funds, that is our sinking fund where we keep what we owe in fire truck, correct, Mickey? City Hall. So we keep one payment in City Hall in what is called the sinking fund, and that is just our agreement with the bank when we did that. So our 90-day reserve amount has not changed. It's $1,379,130, and our total reserves today, or at the end of August, the last day of August, we had $3,947,482.85. We could operate 257.61 days with what we have currently in reserves. Next slide, please, Janet. So let's talk a little bit about sales tax predictions versus realities. In fiscal year 2025, we budgeted our sales tax revenues to be $4,183,620. Predictions are tough. We visit with our sales tax collector. We listen to the governor. We look at all the market rates. And then we have to come up with a number that we believe our residents and our visitors will spend and we will get in sales tax dollars. So in 25, we budgeted $4,183,620. These are numbers through the end of the year. We do have those sales tax numbers through the end of the year, so I'm sharing those. 2025 actual, we brought in at year end $4,389,958. So we did bring in more than we predicted to bring in. Now what happens to that money? It offsets expenses that may have gone over, and then the remainder goes to reserves, right? And at mid-year, then y'all get to have a conversation about, hey, if we have leftover money, how do we include that into a mid-year budget amendment, right? Now there are still expenses that have to come out. This is just one item. But just to kind of show you, so in 26, when we sat down and had these conversations, we budgeted sales tax revenue of $4,277,078. You all know there are a number of things that play into sales tax, right? We have an extremely dry summer. We could have a tight year. I am, by nature, a conservative budgeter of those dollars because we don't know what they are. And we are truly making a guess based on the very best information that's out there. So FY 2024, that's budgeted versus actual. FY 2025, that's budgeted versus actual as well. Next slide, please, Janet. So just to remind everyone, and I hadn't really seen this broken down this way, so Mickey and I started kind of looking at, Gun Barrel City gets sales tax from a number of different places. Sales tax, when you go into the store and you pay 8.25% of sales tax on something you buy. If you buy a Coke at CEFCO or at Casey's now, you pay 8.25%. Of that, 6.25 of that goes to the state, and 2% comes to Gun Barrel City. Of that 2%, 1% is allocated just to the city. We just get 1%. In 1992, the city approved at that time a 0.5. You see, 1% comes to us, 0.50% to the city to eliminate city property tax at the present time, and that was effective October 1st, 1992. I lost a bullet point in here somehow. 0.25 goes to street sales tax. That was approved by the voters. And then 0.25 goes to Gun Barrel EDC. That was approved by the voters. So in August, the city received a check of sales tax for $544,193.77. $272,096.89 went to our operating account. $136,048.44 also went to our operating account based on that 0.5 in October 1st of 1992. And then $68,024.22 went to our street sales tax fund, which is a restricted fund, and over to the EDC to help their operating costs. So I hadn't really seen this broken down like this. I know council hasn't seen it broken down like this since I started, so I kind of wanted to share that with you and our residents, really to show how that funding breaks down. Next slide, please, Janet. This is the sales tax 5-year comparison. Mickey made me go back to the August numbers because I was allowed to use September just for that one slide to kind of show you where we really are. But you can see how the comparison, some months are great, some months are a little slower. For some reason, in February, we had an extremely high in fiscal year 2025. Mickey could probably tell us why. Also, sales tax is always 2 months behind, right? So the money we get in September is really for July. So we kind of see that. We know our summer months are going to be higher. That's when people engage with the lake the most. Memorial Day to Labor Day are always going to be our highest, typically our highest sales tax dollars. Christmas also bumps up there, Black Friday, so you have it kind of spread out a little bit. Next slide, please, Janet. So in the proposed general fund budget that you received in your packet, this is just a snapshot. One thing that we changed last year is during COVID, you had a lot of excess revenue. And so we tended to use some of that general fund balance to supplement the budget. We took money from capital improvement to pay for some of those projects. Last year, we stopped using general fund balance to help supplement our budget, and we balanced a budget to what we believed our general fund balance would be, right? What are we going to bring in? That's what we're going to spend. We do still have money in capital fund. In one of your very first budgets you got this year, we had some money coming out of capital improvement fund. In taking out the salaries, that doesn't really change the revenues we bring in, right? So when you predict revenues, those are your predicted revenues. So you'll notice over in the anticipated expenditures on the very bottom line, there's a transfer to reserve of $43,941. And pulling out salaries, we pulled out what was coming out of the capital improvement fund to supplement the budget because it was, if you remember, 76-ish thousand, right, give or take. It's kind of a moving target based on what employees work here the day we start the new year and give the raises. And we also transferred 43,000. We show a transfer to reserves of 43,941. Those are excess funds that are not allocated to the departments. Next slide, please, Janet. So budgeting philosophy is a little bit complicated. So I just took a neighboring city. It isn't about what they do. One thing I have struggled with since I came here, and Mickey and I have talked a lot about, is, if you go back one slide for me, Janet, really what you see here is general fund. You don't see any intergovernmental transfers. You don't see the street sales tax at work. You don't see LEOS funds or court time payment funds. You don't see those things at work. So council has never really approved budgets for those things. And you'll remember early on in this process, the very last page of your budget, it is now budgeted out. So I went to my department heads and said, how much are you going to take out of these special funds outside of these donations accounts, these restricted funds, outside of special funds? We shouldn't be really spending any of that money without council's approval. So we took a little different approach in this year's budget. Sorry, Janet, next slide. There you go. So I just took Athens and Gun Barrel, and when you look at Athens' budget online that they proposed, they show the incoming revenue, and you'll see there that they break it out: property tax, sales tax, franchise fees, court, and public safety. It isn't as much about the amounts, council or public, it's about how they break their funding out. They show intra-governmental transfers, so they transfer in from their airport, their hotel motel tax, their equipment replacement from the Texan Theater. They also transfer in money like from the EDC paying rent and the admin and payroll reimbursement. So there are some intra and intergovernmental transfers. So as Mickey and I kind of started working through this, we're like, okay, let's do the same thing, because this is really a snapshot of the entire budget, right? You have the general fund on the very back page of the budget. You have all the intergovernment, you have all the funds, the restricted fund money that we bring in, but it never really, and you have a sheet in your budget that talks about street maintenance, and you have a sheet in your budget that talks about capital improvement, and you're approving those, but we never really look at it as a whole picture. And so when you look at it as a whole picture, our budget is really closer to $8 million because we have sales tax and we have capital improvement fund and interest. We have hotel motel fund. And you all remember that you can only spend hotel motel fund on certain things. It has to build the reputation and draw in visitors for Gun Barrel City. And then the festival fund. So this is, if you look on the right side, I used Athens. It was an easy one. That was a spreadsheet in their budget that was able to really show you kind of the two. That's the only reason they're there. So you can see other people show those intergovernmental transfers. And so this is kind of, really, when it's all said and done, what kind of budget this city is looking at. Next slide, please, Janet. So Mickey took that and then took those dollars and put them into a pie chart. And so you can see here, the majority of our revenue comes in from sales tax. We have festival fund, we have hotel motel fund, we have our capital improvement fund. And a lot of these funds have reserve balances. They have the fund balance is there. So it looks like, they may not bring in that much money. We put that on the last page, and I'll show it to you as we go through this. But it really does show the difference. You'll notice there's a difference of $99,000, and that has to do with the fund balances in these accounts. But you can see there that, there's a lot of speculation about what we spend on each, and this slide really shows you our full budget when we take into consideration things like our street maintenance sales tax. Those dollars don't do me any good unless I have the personnel to work with the contractors and prep the roads and do the work. So that is a big part of our budget that we haven't always taken into consideration. We talked about that at our last meeting. I brought the spreadsheet. I showed you the different funds. Next slide, please, Janet. So this is the budget additions that council approved. There is $1,430 and some safety equipment for animal control. There is iPads for our fire apparatus. Colby and his team, the fire chief and his team, have really spent a lot of time updating their software. They were able to move to a new software that works directly with our dispatch. They're working out how that software and the PD software work together. This will allow them to literally get in a truck and be mapped directly to the location and allow our dispatch to help track these folks. It's huge. It's going to be a huge asset. This is the iPads. They want iPads, so this is the iPads for the truck and the service to provide them for a year. The police department generator maintenance contract, we were really lucky. Our old fire chief, this was kind of his knack, was keeping things running. And if you know Joey, you know that's what he does for fun. And so he was a huge help in doing that. Now we're going to need a contract to make sure those generators, both at PD and then the one that will be placed at the community center, they need to not miss a beat, right? When the power goes out, they need to immediately power up and start providing service like nothing is missed. This contract will allow us to do that. Council had a lot of conversations about, do we buy computers for patrol cars or do we lease them? You'll remember it was over I think it was about $58,000 or $59,000 to buy those cars, to buy those computers, brand new computers for all police cars. This is a 4-year lease. So it's basically a subscription service. We subscribe, they come out, they install new computers in all of our cars, and then we pay $77.70 per year. At the end of 4 years, they come out and give us new computers. The problems with police car computers is, one, they overheat, right? Imagine in the middle of the summer. 2, they get banged around. They get drug in and drug out, and so they really take a wear and tear. So these are good, tough books, not that brand specifically, but tougher computers that will withstand that wear and tear, and we'll sign an agreement with these folks, and it also comes with a warranty. There's $1,000 in training and scheduling for police. This allows the chief to keep his team up to date on all the laws and the whole 9 yards through one software. And so this is a very inexpensive program. There's about $3,150 in Stop the Bleed and first aid equipment for police. Not every police car has a first aid kit in it. And so one thing the chief is really focusing on is how, when my officers show up, are they ready for turnkey service, even if that means the ambulance or the fire department isn't quite there yet, right? So this will outfit our police cars with that. There's $30,000 for an administrative vehicle for police, and there's $10,000 additional funding for Humane Society of Cedar Creek Lake. As most of you know, about midway through last year, we have started, Carol and Keith and his team, the chief and his team, have really started focusing on getting those animals off the street where we can. It is extremely expensive. It's $416 per dog for every dog we take over. And they have allowed us to take more over, but about mid last year, they kind of started billing us more frequently. We had kind of worked it out where some months we took, it's still 30 dogs over an average, it's 10 dogs a month, 30 dogs over a quarter, and they average it for us, but some months are busier, so we just want to make sure we have that funding in there. I will tell you, in a normal budget, we would have immediately taken that patrol car. Can you go back, please? We would have taken that admin vehicle out of capital improvement. That is exactly why you have capital improvement dollars. But it didn't make sense to do that when we took out salaries and we were already transferring $46,000 to reserves. It didn't make sense to add that and transfer that to reserves, so we just took it out of the general fund dollars. Next slide, please. So we've talked a lot about street sales tax. This is kind of a list council's never seen before. It's something that our street department head keeps. This is not an all-inclusive list. This is just kind of things that we are starting to really keep records on. Where are we looking at needing to do chip seal? Most of you know they just did 4 roads, 3 or 4 roads, a couple in Loon Bay, a couple in Tamarack, where they went in and did chip seal. We do the road-based prep, and then we have a company as part of our bid, our street supply bid, that comes in and does the chip seal for us. They lay the oil and they lay the rock. We buy all the stuff and they come in and do it for us. It's a great partnership, and we just start kind of ticking these away. These are some that are on their radar and kind of approximate costs. That does vary based on the price of rock and the price of labor. So we do partner with someone to come in and help us do that. And then asphalt reconstructed streets. The current top number 1 is Harbor Point Road. You'll remember last October actually, they did from 334 to Lakeview Elementary. As Janet mentioned, there is a bid out now, an RFP out now, I believe, to do from Lakeview to Commodore. And then we're also looking at, could we go ahead and do 2 sections if the money is there to do that and knock it out? So last year they came in and in 1 week asphalted a very long section. I suspect this one will take a little longer. They won't be shutting the road down overnight and doing that kind of thing, but this is the next road on the list to be repaired. Full asphalt reconstruction. They grind it down. They mill all the existing asphalt. They give that to us. You see that out at the park. We're using it for trails. We're using it for parking lots. We're using it for a number of different things around. And then, so that one's out for bid now. Next slide, please, Janet. So this is also, now we're going to kind of get to some things that are in your budget, just if you've never looked at them, what are they? And just so the public kind of knows what they are. This is, the great thing about Gun Barrel City is it does not carry a bunch of debt. And it's hard to carry debt when you depend on sales tax. We have a slow summer, we have a low lake, we have a big drought, that takes a huge hit. A city doesn't want to carry extensive debt, but there are some things you can't help. You have to have fire equipment, and fire equipment can now be several $million, $1.6 to $2 million for a new fire truck. So we are paying off our 2015 pumper truck. It was a 10-year lease purchase, lease finance, and we make the final payment in October. Mickey made the final payment in October, so that will fall off after this year. And then City Hall. That is our annual payment on City Hall. And I believe, Mickey, how many, it's on the, when we get to it, I can show you. Next slide, please. This is, and so this year, a little different festival fund. So festival fund has looked a little different in the past. With promoting Brooke to the community engagement coordinator, one thing we really wanted to do is we kind of had special event money coming from different places. We can only spend hotel motel money on certain things. A lot of it is marketing. Any event that puts heads in beds. So July Fest and July Fest marketing, that's kind of why you see it broken out that way. But then you've got just general event marketing, and then you have some of our events that we do. Events aren't all intended to bring in revenue, right? Some of these are just to bring people here to eat in restaurants and spend the night and then maybe come back and bring their family and rent a lake house. And it's all about getting people familiar. And so this really is something new where we have broken out the events. I showed it to you last year in a different format. I kind of showed you where the money came and I showed you a spreadsheet. This year, Mickey and I worked together to put together the festival fund. And this really sets your community engagement coordinator up for success because she then can know exactly what she has to bring in revenue and she can spend on events. And again, not all of these events come out of hotel motel. Some of them, there's a $10,000 expense in the administration budget, and then you see here transfer from general fund $10,000. So that money comes directly into this fund to help support some of those events. Next slide, please, Janet. This is your 5-year capital improvement program. This is what I was looking for. 2025, we'll make the 14th installment on City Hall. We will make the final payment on the pumper truck, and we are slated to purchase a police administration vehicle. You can see there, then we plan out the next 4 years. And we can't do all of this stuff. The Kubota mower was 25-26. We've been talking about a central fire station renovation for several years. So these 5-year capital improvement really are moving targets based on what money is available and how we could creatively fund those based on the excess revenue that we brought in. So you can see there the different things that are kind of planned out over the next 5 years. Next slide, please, Janet. And this is something new that for the first time is in your budget. It's on the final page. And this really is those restricted funds, right? So this is something we've spent some time over the last year talking about. We have a court security fund. We have a fire department special fund, law enforcement education fund. You hear that called the LEOS fund, municipal court technology fund, municipal court time payment fund, a park special fund, a police seizure and forfeiture fund, federal grants, police special fund, federal grants, and public enhancements. And so that is... The first column is the fund balance as of August 2025 in that account. The next column is any predicted revenue. I will tell you the police seizure revenue is added as we seize things, right? So it's hard to budget. We're going to go seize this because we don't know when that will happen. And so it's hard to do that. Park special funds are donation accounts. If Walmart gives us a $2,500 donation, it goes into whatever account. Let's say they want to donate $2,500 to fire to buy new shirts, or police gets a grant from Walmart. That goes in, and then we spend that money directly back out of there. But they are funds of the city, and council should be approving those budgets. So we started kind of looking at what will we spend out of these as we go, and then what are we going to spend that on? And it's not perfect because things change a little bit with these funds. If we get a big influx of money, this year we budgeted, for example, $12,000 out of the LEOS account for police training. We reduced them out in our budget and upped them out of LEOS, but you can see there, we predict we will spend $12,000 out of that. We have a high fund balance right now. And that kind of replenishes itself at about $2,000 a year. So there it is. That's what our plan is to spend. And then you can see there what those anticipated expenses are. So we literally broken out. Our associate judge is planning on doing some locking system door upgrades and some fence and gate repair. Our fire department buys their annual breast cancer shirts, which I would be remiss if I didn't say. We have them for sale at the front desk for $20. All that goes right back to, they buy those shirts, and then that all goes right back to the fire department. Police officer training. Grace is going to purchase a new TV for the courtroom out of the court technology fund. Grace did a lot of work this year to make sure those are things, some of those all of the court, Grace could explain them much better than me, but they're tied to your fines that you pay. And so Grace worked with our city attorney to ensure she could use some of that court time payment for training. And so she's going to be able to use some of that this year to do that. Park special fund, trail upgrades, that's why we only budgeted a portion of that. As you all know, my team has kind of been working behind the scenes on coming up with a plan to do some immediate upgrades to the trail. And so that is the park special fund, the $10,000. And then the remaining that's in the park special fund is funding that Parks Board has raised to go toward the tennis courts. The tennis court remodel resurface, it needs to be completely resurfaced, is around $30,000, 35. So we're going to have to do some more work on raising some funds, but that's why they did a special committee to do that. And then police seizure, again, we didn't have any projected expenses at the time. If we have things that need to be spent out of there, those will come to council as it comes up. Police special fund, as you all know, we retired our K-9, but when we had the K-9, we would get K-9 donations, and that would offset K-9 expenses. Federal grants, we are closing out our ARPA, and then this will begin to have more money in it because we will get allocations from the General Land Office on our $300,000 zoning and drainage grant from the General Land Office. So we'll keep working on that. And then public enhancements, those dollars can be used to do a variety of things. One thing we have kind of talked about that I'll be taking to the Parks Board is the potential to do some kind of food park out there, really to draw more people to the park. We've done a lot of that over the last year with softball and things. But that really gets people into town, but potentially do a food truck park. Look at, are there potential for additional restrooms? That's probably the hardest part about the park, is there aren't necessarily restrooms close. So something kind of Mike and I have been talking about. We don't know what that looks like, and it will come to you as a project, but we did want to start having that conversation as we looked at the budget. And I think, next slide, Janet. Any questions I'm happy to answer. Maybe, or call on Mickey or Grace.
That's a great job. Well done. Questions for staff?
A lot of information.
Pretty thorough. Pretty thorough. All right, moving on. 8B, I will now open a public hearing to discuss the city's budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Janet, do we have anyone to speak on this? Having none, I will now close the public hearing. 8C, we will now consider and take action to adopt the city's budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. I know our city manager, Dr. Smith, is the sponsor of this, but I think she said enough, so we will now.
Definitely said enough.
I love you, though. I want you to know that. It's not that I don't want to hear you, but I think you did a thorough job, and that's good enough. So I will now ask for a motion.
I move that we take action to adopt the city's budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year with adjustments. I'd like to add back in the employee raises, which then we would need to reallocate the $43,941 to be slated to move to general fund reserves to the expenditure line item for each department, which will provide one-step raises for all employees who have been employed for 1 year as October 1st, 2025, and not currently maxed out on the pay scale, and to allocate $25,212 from the Capital Improvement Fund to supplement the funding to purchase the police administration vehicle.
I have a motion. With those amendments to that, do I have a second?
Edwards, second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If none, I'll ask a vote from my left, please.
Burns, yes.
Evans, no.
Jacobs, yes.
Henson, yes.
Edwards, yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 8D, consider and take action to adopt ordinance number 02025-015, fixing the rate and tax levy for the 2025 and 2026 fiscal year. Our sponsor on this will be our city manager, Dr. Smith. But before that, I will read into the record the ordinance number 0-2025-015, an ordinance fixing the rate and tax levy for the city of Gun Barrel City, Texas, for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2025, and ending September 30th of 2026 of the city of Gun Barrel City, Texas, in conformity with the laws of the state of Texas and the ordinances of said city, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith. Dr. Smith?
Mayor, Council, we had the public hearing back when we first considered this budget. So we're not required to have another public hearing. As you know, our property tax is set at 0. This is just approving that 0 rate for another year.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Knowing that, do I have a motion?
I move that we take action to adopt ordinance number O-2025-015, fixing the rate and tax levy for the 2025-2026 fiscal year to 0.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Jacobs, second.
I have a motion and a second. If no further discussion, a vote for my right, please.
Edwards, yes.
Henson, yes.
Jacobs, yes.
Evans, yes.
Burns, yes.
Motion passes. Moving to economic development, 9A. A second reading of the resolution number R-2025-008, approving a loan agreement and project by and between the Gun Barrel City Economic Development Corporation and Soul Man's Barbecue, LLC, to provide financial assistance in an amount not to exceed $400,000. I will read into the record this resolution. Resolution number R-2025-008, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Gun Barrel City, Texas, approving a loan agreement and project by and between the Gun Barrel City Economic Development Corporation and Soul Man's Barbecue, LLC, a Texas limited liability company, to provide financial assistance in an amount not to exceed $400,000 for economic development purposes, and providing for an immediate effective date. Unfortunately, Mr. Houck is not present, but we have someone that has some EDC experience, Dr. Smith.
And my presentation is a part of 9B, and the applicant is here as well. So if you'll read the next one, that's just the second reading. If you'll read the next one into the record, I will give you a couple of topics.
Here we go. 9B, consider and take action to adopt resolution number R-2025-008, approving a loan agreement and project by and between the Gun Barrel City Economic Development Corporation and Soul Man's Barbecue, LLC, to provide financial assistance in an amount not to exceed $400,000.
So we talked about this at the last meeting. We had an executive session. We also did a short presentation following that executive session. Charles apologizes for not being here for his first meeting. This happens to be the week of their annual conference as well in San Antonio, and they started this afternoon. And so Charles sent me some talking points and said, please, one last time, put on your EDC hat for me, and I happily agreed because this is a great project. Soul Man's is here, so if you have any questions at all, he is more than happy to come up and answer these, but I think you guys have had a chance to review this. They have closed on the purchase of 208 East Main Street. That's the old Whataburger building, so that is going to be a second location in Henderson County of Soul Man's Barbecue. I want to make that very clear. We're not closing Maybank, we are adding a second one, and I've heard a lot of, will that work? Well, Rockwall, Texas has 2 of them. Pretty much, 2 miles apart. So one on one corner and one on the other, and Soul Man's has a great history there. So the performance agreement term is for 10 years. There will be no payments made to the developer until they receive a certificate of occupancy. If for some reason they don't receive a certificate of occupancy, I can't say that word, by December the 26th, December 2026, the agreement expires. And the agreement start date is the date the CO is issued. And so once qualified expenses are verified, there is an initial grant of $250,000, and then there is a loan of $100,000, and that has a 7-year term with a 5% interest rate. And at the 1-year anniversary, they are given an additional $50,000 grant. I think Soul Man's would be happy to come up and talk a little bit about what kind of investment that they're making in this property. The great news for the EDC is a lot of it is the building renovation, right? That building has sat vacant for a significant amount of time, and if something happened, this loan and grants is really going to the renovation of that building, and there are permanent upgrades to our Main Street in Gun Barrel City. But Soul Man's is here if you would like to ask some additional questions or hear a presentation.
Would you like to speak for a second? While you're on your way up, I'm going to sing your praises. I think if you've sat with these people and met with them and been in any of their restaurants, number one, they're going to be a great asset. They never would put anything in a location that they thought was going to harm any other location. They just seem to see such an opportunity, but they will be hiring from local workforce. They train everybody that's local here. They want people local. They don't want somebody driving in from 50 miles away. They take a great pride in really digging in and being a part of that community. And the best part of the community is having familiar faces when you're going to order barbecue. And I appreciate that from a standpoint that you guys are going to work so hard to get a lot of our help, some people some help, making a great living. And I appreciate you very much.
Well, thank you. Mayor, City Council, thank you for having me tonight. And just hearing so much about your city, and Mayor, just hearing so much your praise towards the people in your city. I wish I worked for the city of Gun Barrel and for the mayor. I think that it's just amazing to hear that. Let me sing your praises for a second. I think you're a fantastic leader.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I hope you're appreciated. So Soul Man's Barbecue has picked Gun Barrel City. It will most likely be our 22nd location. We just opened number 21 in North Richland Hills. 51-year-old brand. We are super fiscally conservative, a lot like the city of Gun Barrel. In fact, a lot of the things that Dr. Smith talked about, I can certainly agree with, because that's how we run our business. And so we choose our locations very carefully, and we like to partner with cities that are like-minded. We are a faith-based organization, and so we put the Lord at the top of everything that we do. Another something that I just really appreciate about your city, calling on the name of the Lord when you start your meeting, that's amazing. And so a lot of things that we're super proud of, and you know, I think that we will be a good partner for Gun Barrel City. And you know, the reason why we are asking for funds is simply because we paid a premium for this building because we liked the spot. It is an older building that's going to take quite a bit of renovation, quite a bit more than what we're asking for, to be honest with you. And so we just want a way to get that down a little bit. Interest rates are starting to come down a little bit, but they're still historically high for the last 5 to 6 years, something like that. And so businesses are struggling a little bit with financing options. And something that you might want to know about Soul Man's as far as fiscally conservative operations is that we own all of our own properties. We typically are not very leveraged company, and we don't have a whole lot of loans and obligations as far as that's concerned. So we are able to operate in a fiscally responsible manner moving forward. And so any other questions of, you know, why we're asking for money or how we intend to pay it back?
Can I make one comment? I realized on my slide very quickly, the girls just sent me 1,000 text messages. The address of the building is not 208 East Main. It is correct in the agreement. It's 938 Main Street.
Yeah, I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't even see
I think
that,
maybe
so.
from Charles, that was a combination of your address in Royce City and so.
Sure.
The correct address of the location that they purchased is 938 Main Street, which is the old Whataburger building.
Questions?
I don't have any questions. I'm just glad you're here.
Well, thank you.
I will echo that. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
we're
very
blessed to be
much.
here. Thank you.
As well. I was very
Any
impressed the first time you came through and talked to us, so I'm very excited that we're moving forward.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Any questions from anyone out there? Is that legal?
Absolutely. Our house is your house.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the EDC also. What a great group of people those are to deal with. Amazing. It's actually been really nice meeting everyone. You have a great group of people that are kind and respectful and care about your city. And take it from me, that's a little rare because I deal with a lot of cities. So kudos to everyone.
Thank you, bud. I appreciate
We want to be
you
a
very
part
much.
of that.
You're in.
Excited.
Be careful what you wish for. You're in. Without further ado, do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution number R-2025-008, approving a loan agreement and project by and between the Gun Barrel City Economic Development Corporation and Soulman's Barbecue LLC to provide financial assistance in an amount not to exceed $400,000.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Burns, second.
I have a motion and a second. If no further discussion, a vote from my left, please.
Burns, yes.
Evans, yes.
Jacobs, yes.
Henson, yes.
Edwards, yes.
Motion passes. Welcome.
Thank you.
I will echo quickly, too. The EDC has great leadership, and you guys, I appreciate everyone showing up to council meetings, but you guys should really come see the EDC. There's a lot of energy in that room when these guys meet, and it's a great board, and you want to see where the city's going. Those are the meetings you want to come to. Without further ado, we will now move to executive session 10A, convene an executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code, sections 551074, personnel matters to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the city attorney. Let the record show that it is now 7:51, and we will convene in executive session. Thank you.
Good for your back.
It's been sitting there and I've been kicking it down since Jay left. And now you're kicking it back towards me. We're gonna have to get rid of it. Somebody needed to.
Voting stuff.
Let the record show that we are reconvening from executive session at 8:08. 10B, we've reconvened into open session to take any action necessary as a result of the executive session. There was no action taken. So at this time, I will thank everyone for their attendance, and this meeting is now adjourned.
Where's that attaboy?